here we go. So tonight we are putting the fun back in functional. We're going to be making some wind chimes to start off with. I figured might as well make a sound device. So we'll make a wind chime. And we're going to be using broken glass. So we're going to recycle some glass here for the actual wind chime. The center core of the wind chime will be utilizing broken glass. Pieces that were either cracked beyond repair or pieces that broke and are non-repairable. And we're able to recycle that glass. So that's what we're going to be functioning on tonight. And then we're going to make some wind chime tubes, and we're going to build the actual base, like the wind chime itself, out of the glass too. So everything will be full-blown glass, and we're going to see how it works. I'm kind of excited about that. So this is a wind chime I've wanted to do for a while, except I hadn't thought about using broken glass as the concept. We're going to heat this up and pull it down. So these tubes are going to be the core of the wind chime, the outside chimes, and then the center core is going to be solid glass, and we'll see that should give it a pretty good little ding there. And it should ring pretty good. It should chime pretty good. So we got that done. I'm going to move this guy back a little bit. There we go. I don't want to burn my microphone. All right, so we got that done. So we're going to be utilizing this broken glass here. This hummingbird is all cracked beyond belief. I got a rose that took a crash. And then some scrap little bits around here, a mermaid tail. We're going to take that and utilize it for the actual center core. I've got some other glass we'll use too. But mostly we're going to use that broken stuff in the beginning. And we're going to create a solid core. And then we'll do tubing on the outside. So the 4 tubes around the outside will be hollow. And they should ring pretty good. And then I'm going to do a little fun fact on the bottom of the tubes. All right, so we're going to start with probably the hummingbird. Let's go ahead and take the hummingbird that we have. This thing is just cracked beyond belief. So unfortunately, it's going to get remelted. I'm just going to attach it there. We're just going to remelt it into a solid core. And then we'll start from there. This tail may crack. Don't crack too bad. Yep, there it goes. See, that's what I was talking about. But we'll utilize all that. So we're going to remelt this guy back down. What color it turns into, I have no idea. Because it's a combination of 2 different colors on here. I've never remixed these two. So we'll see what they end up. You can see that crack right there. That's where the crack was in the bird. That, see how the body's splitting open? That's where the crack had happened. And it was too deep to repair. So it would have left a little line impression in there, and there's no way of getting rid of it. And we're going to go ahead and melt all this in. Twirl it around. We're going to pick up the little bit of tail bits that just broke off. And we're going to pick those up and fuse them in here, and then I'm going to grab some of these other little pieces of glass and we'll fuse them in there as well. There's one little section of tail. And then if you notice on the bench, right underneath the torch is the diver and shark we did. I ended up frosting the coral. So the coral is completely frosted now, so it has a white effect on it. And then the shark and diver are done out of the clear glass, which I really like. I like the shark and diver. It looks really good. Yeah. I'll try and pick it up after this and show you just briefly. No, I should get this done first. I can pick it up in a little bit, but the shark and diver on the coral or the wave looks really good. All right, so we got a little bit there. We're going to pick up this flower. You can see here it's just a broken flower that ended up crashing onto the floor. And we're going to go ahead and melt that in there too. So this is kind of my recycle process, where we take it and repurpose all this glass. And here we go. We got this going now. I'm going to pick a couple more bits up and use them in there as well. And then we'll build the center core. So I'm working on a wind chime tonight. The center of the wind chime will be solid, and then the outside part of it will be all tubing, so it can kind of ding and ching and ring, whatever you want to call it. We're going to pick up another little piece of broken glass here. So you can see we got little bits of broken glass. We're going to fuse that in as well. And this is kind of repurposing parts that are not usable anymore, for the most part. So we can repurpose it into a really cool looking piece. And a couple more bits on here, and we'll start shaping the center core of the wind chime. Then start the process of the tubing. Then I'll build the actual mobile part where the wind chime will hang off of. So everything's going to be out of glass. So there's the little lime green there. We'll use that on there. A couple more little bits. Just a few more little bits. I'm hoping that the chime sounds really good too. So I finished the dinner bell, the shark with the bell on it. I put the clacker in it, and it rings like crazy. Let me get these last little bits on, and I'll ring the bell for you. It sounds really good. It actually sounds a lot better than I thought it would. Oh, there's a little bit right there. Pick that guy up, put it in. Two more little bits. So we got a little blue-green here. We'll fuse in. And then I got one of the purple petals from the iris we did last week. Leftover petal from the iris, the purple. We're going to fuse that in here too. And then we'll start shaping this guy out. So again, this is going to be the center of the wind chime. There's our little purple bit. Jennifer, thank you for being a member. Appreciate it. By the way, on YouTube, there is a code under the members channel in the post for a discount on thefieryguy.com. I entered in a code for you guys. Don't forget to check the community post on thefieryguy.com with YouTube. And I'm trying to figure it out on TikTok. But if you are only on TikTok and you're a member on there, message me and I'll give you the code. Okay, so we got all that glass fused in here. So basically it's a core of just lots of little bits of glass that I pulled together, one was a hummingbird, and then little bits of glass. Then here's the dinner bell. Remember we did this guy? The shark? Listen. It actually rings really good. I can't even believe how good it sounds. It sounds really freaking good. Yeah, this shark is, so there's a scuba diver right here, the shark, and then a wave. The wave is done out of frost. So I sandblasted the wave into a frosted color. Kind of has that Lalique art form. If you're not familiar with Lalique, it's a crystal glass company, pretty famous for just clear and frosted. All right, so we're going to start pulling this into a little bit of a cylinder shape, and then I kind of want this wind chime to look like it has dripping water off of it. So we're going to do the center core. We're going to pull some water drips off it out of clear, and then the tubing will also have water drips coming off of it. So it should look like it has like a morning dew on it. And that's the part I'm really excited about, kind of making it look like it's just come through a rainstorm. There we go. All right, we're getting this built into a cylinder shape real quick. Just smoothing it out right now. Use my little graphite marber here. You have to pull this down just a little bit more. So this has like 5 or 6 different colors bouncing through it, which is going to be the cool part. Bring it down. A little bit more tapered. About like that. Actually, I'm going to put one more little, I'm going to put a little divot in here. I kind of maybe want to do a triple. Let's give it a triple look. So there'll be 2 little constrictions in here. Make it a little artsy. There we go. Yeah, like that. So I got a constriction here. I'm going to bubble this up in the middle a little bit. And give it a little push. Like that. And I think that'll look good. All right, this end, so this is going to be the bottom of the center of the wind chime. So we have to expand it a little bit. So it's got to be a little wider than the rest of it so it can hit the tubes. So going to go ahead and firm this up right here where the hook will eventually be. So right now I'm building a wind chime. So every part of this wind chime will be glass except for the string that will hold the tubes and this part together. Because we kind of want it to be able to swing in the wind pretty good. But everything else will be made out of glass. So we're going to fatten this end up a little. Let's go ahead and do that now. There we go. So again, the dinner bell, this is the shark dinner bell we did the other day, and it rings really well. So it's a little bell. I'll put it right by the microphone. You can hear it. It just rings pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy with that. It's a lot louder than I thought it would be. While I'm going through here, so for those of you new to the channel, I use a filter on my glasses called didymium lenses. Didymium filters out certain light spectrums like this. So you can see we're filtering out some of the bright light here. It's not as effective as what my glasses are. But you can kind of see, we'll pull the flame down just a little. You can see it kind of makes the flame right through the filter semi-disappear versus that. And that's how I can see exactly what I'm doing. So we're going to make this a little wider so it hits the edge of the tubing when we make the tubing. And this will be the part that kind of bangs against the tubes and makes the sound. I'm not worried about it breaking. We use a borosilicate glass. Common brand of it is called Pyrex. So I'm not worried about the durability. It's all weather. So that part I'm not structurally worried about. And we're just going to let it gravity drip into a little bit wider section here. That colors actually look really good. I don't know if you guys can see all those multicolors running through there, but there's like green and purple and some funky colors running through there. Actually looks pretty decent. Okay, so next step, we got to add into the glass here. We got to add in what I call water drips. So we're going to make it look like it's got dripping water coming off of it. We're going to go ahead and do that now. We're going to start with the very center piece. This part I am going to do out of clear, I want it to look like water. So we just put a little knob on there. Let that cool off a little bit. Then we're going to heat right where it's joined up to the center up there. We're going to heat it up and let gravity do all the work. I'll probably pull that in front of the camera so you can see it in live action. There we go. We'll bring it out here and you can see it's just kind of falling on its own. Now, borosilicate glass flows at a different rate than normal glass, so it's a little slower. There we go. We got a little water drip there. Sorry about that, had to crack my knuckle. It's feeling a little funky. All right, here we go. So we're going to start by adding a couple more water drips on here. Now the way I build this is going to look a little goofy until you see exactly what I'm doing here. So we're going to start off on the side and do that same method. Build up a bobble. Then I'm going to heat it right where it's attached to the main object and then let it drip down. After I do that, then we'll use gravity and let it kind of drip down towards the other one. So we got that main bobble built there. So you can see right there. Now we're going to heat right below it. Very focused flame. Let it drip down like that. And we're just going to bring it over. And then let it fall. Like that. So that way I don't have to try and build it right next to the other one. You can build it off to the side and let it naturally fall down. Got a couple more of these. We'll probably put a total of 5 on here. We already have 2. We'll do 3 more. I'm going to kind of offset them too. So I don't want them sitting exactly in the same spot as the previous one. This will be a fun wind chime when it's done. This one we're going to let get a little bit whiter. So you can see right there, it's just a bobble. Now we're going to heat again right there at the attachment. Keep the flame very focused. Let it start dripping down. And just let it fall naturally. Kind of gives the illusion that it's falling off of the main object there. We've got 2 more to go. I'm going to go a little bit higher on this position, a little bit bigger water droplet. Well, that sucker wants to move on its own really fast right now. So there it is again. Before we go to it, we're going to use the focus flame. Let it fall. And then just bend. I just don't want it touching the previous one. Definitely don't want them touching. So now you can see we're starting to get a little bit of water droplets coming off. 1 more to go. I might add some tiny, not hanging water droplets in up above that to kind of get some balance. Looks like it may need that. And then after this, we'll start on the tubing. So the bottom of each one of the tubes will also have these water droplets coming off. Except a little smaller. How's everybody doing? What's up, Christy? How are you? What's up, Groves? Good evening to all the mods and everybody. Members, welcome in. Good to see everyone. Okay, there we are again, one more time. Going to use a focus flame, hit it right up in the top up there. Get it nice and melty. Let it drip down, and then there we go. Yeah, it definitely needs a couple little water drops up above it, just to give it that illusion that water is dropping all the way down from this like middle section here. Let's go ahead and do that real fast, and then we'll start on the next process. There. And this will be completely weatherproof. I'm not worried about it breaking, whether it's hot, cold, windy. If it sits through a hurricane, it'll probably break, but I hope if you've got a hurricane coming, you bring it in, or you're not so worried about it going to get it out of the hurricane. Okay, we're good. A couple more. So I started this piece off with broken recycled glass. There are various projects that I had that were broke beyond repair, or little scrap bits that were unrepairable or unusable. And one more here. So this is the center of the wind chime. So this thing has a lot of weight to it. It should bring down, oh, I got to move that. See that water drop just went sideways? It's like sticking out doing its own thing. Got to move that. Can't let that guy sit all by himself. There. So there we are. I'm going to try and bring the flashlight over. We'll see if we can get any coloring on it whatsoever. Oh yeah, look at those colors. Look at all that. It's definitely vibrant in color. All right, so that's the center core of our wind chime. We're going to go ahead and do the tube. Tubes are super simple, not a problem. Before we go there, we're going to bring out the shark with the scuba diver on it. You can see there's the frosting that I did on the wave. So that's sandblasted, it's not painted, but yeah, there's our shark with scuba diver. We built that the other day, I think Friday. I think it was Friday. So that looks really fantastic too. All right, let's go ahead and start cutting these tubes down and build ourselves a wind chime. I got a second water bucket, by the way. So I'm not too worried anymore. I don't have to stretch across the flame. So again, these are going to be clear. I like clear in a lot of items. because it still gives you that glass illusion. And we're going to cut different lengths of the tubing for the wind chime, so there'll be some longer, some shorter. So we're going to cut the first one. I'm going to pop this in the kiln, let it cool, let it heat up in there, not cool. We're going to open the end up before we do that, and then we'll start the other one right away. No, technically I don't want to do that. I take that back. We're going to have to do this a totally different way. All right, so there's our first tube for the wind chime. We're going to go ahead and open it up. I'm going to put some water drips on it, and then we're going to let it cool off. We're going to do 4 of those, let them cool off, and then I can add the hooks on there. Then we'll start working on the actual structure of the chime itself. All right, so we're going to open this up. Pop that hole. And here's the one factor that I figured out a long time ago, and that is the opening of each tube. So each tube is going to have a different size opening in it, and what it's going to do is create a different resonance coming through the tube. So as the glass is hitting, each one of these tubes is going to have a different sound to it based on the hole that's at the end. So it's going to change the sound of each one hitting. Let's go ahead and add in our water drops here. You hear that? There's part of the sound coming out of it. Now, when I do a couple more, you're definitely going to hear a different resonance when I open it up a little bigger. So this one's going to be a little bigger of a water drop. Come over here and add a second one. We'll go up a little higher on the tubing. So this will be a cross between like water drops and what a candle dripping would look like wax dripping on a candle. Go ahead and drip that down. Add a little bit more to the bottom here. One more over here. I definitely have to add in some water drops on here. Kind of looks like a rocket ship right now. Okay, we're going to fatten this guy up right here. And we're going to let it drip. Bring it down. Then we're just going to add a few water drops on here, not much, just a bit. Hear the sound? So remember that resonance. All right, so there's our first kind of just water droplet. And again, it's not going to look perfect until I get this whole thing built. All right, we got to do what's called a flame anneal real quick. Flame anneal is very propane-rich flame. And it's going to get a black carbon buildup on it. That black carbon is going to keep it from cracking. It's going to kind of insulate the glass. Like that. See how it just coated it with complete carbon? And that's going to let it just kind of do its thing right now. We're going to set that off to the side, and we're going to make the next one. I got the hiccups, damn it. So we're doing 4 of these total. So this tube I'll open all the way up. We'll have a very wide chamber to it. That landed on my lap. I got that over there. Okay, first things first, we got to straighten the tube out. It's a little bent. So we just have to straighten it out a little bit. And 3, 2, 1, there we go. We're completely straightened out. We're going to go ahead and bring this tube down again. We're going to go a little bit longer on this one. And we're going to open the bottom up all the way so it gets a different sound bouncing through it. Pull this down. Yeah, it should be pretty awesome. I can't wait to hear the sound of this. We definitely have some wind coming this week, so I'll definitely be able to film it, kind of making its ding-dong sound. And again, this is like the dinner belt. You can hear the glass. It's very, very loud. All right, let's go ahead and open this up. There we go. I forgot I got a water bucket over here now. I need a bigger opening here. All right, so this one we opened all the way up. So now it doesn't have the small hole on it. We opened it all the way. It's going to create a whole different resonance. We're going to go ahead and add the water droplets on here. This time though, I'm going to start with the little drops and then we'll do the big ones. It's going to be a little easier, that process. Little drops. So those are all welded in concurrently there. Let's go ahead and ease that in. So there we are. We got just little water drops bouncing through there. Now we're going to add the bigger drops on here. I am going to taper this down a little differently. So I'm going to start up high and bring it down. Fatten that end up a little. Okay, let's do the other side, and then I'll show you before we finish up the last two. This is one of those items that it doesn't look right until you get close to the end. Then when it all comes together, it makes sense. Taper that one down a little. And then fatten this little water droplet here up. Go right underneath it and let it droop down. Hear the sound? Now you can see we got the water drops just kind of falling at random pace here, different lengths to create an entirely different sound. This one we're going to make a little smaller. We're going to keep that chunky. Wait for it. Fine tune the flame. Let it drip, and one more to go. This will be an awesome wind chime. I can't wait to hear it. Just going to add a lot of glass on here so I can get that water drop looking good. Okay, and then we're going to fine tune it, let it drip. So there is water drop tube number 2. We're going to go ahead and carbon coat it. So this, again, this carbon coating is the method of kind of annealing the glass without running it in a kiln right now. It's going to coat it completely in black carbon. And that's going to secure it and make it stable, and it's going to kind of flame anneal it. Did you hear that? And there we are. So we completely encased it in carbon right now, and that's going to keep it nice and warm and keep everything from cracking. And then it'll go back to clear in just a little bit when I go to finish these off. We're going to let that sit out, and 2 more to go. And then we'll build the actual structure. There we go. Okay, this one we're going to shorten up a tiny bit, a little bit shorter, and a smaller hole at the end. And that's a perfect point. What you looking for, Flaming Jesus? Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take this, and we're going to make a tiny hole at the end of this. So this one's not going to be big. It's going to create a different sound. And we need another 6mm rod here, so I can go ahead and do that. Now, one thing I'm going to do at the end of this as well, to change it up just a little bit more, is I'm going to make the end a little thicker. So it's going to have a little thicker bottom end, meaning the rim around it's going to be a little thicker with a smaller hole. And again, that'll change the sound. We're going to get a little bit more. And pop. Okay, before I go too far, I'll show you what so we got just the tiny hole there right now, but it's a little thin in that section. So I'm going to bring it down, get it thicker, and then use my, my tool to kind of open it and make sure it's round and solid. There we are. So now you can see it's way thicker right there. It's actually about 4 or 5 millimeters thick in that little rim, and then tiny, tiny little hole right there. Again, that's going to change the entire sound. Let's go ahead and add in our little water droplets. Might do this one a little different looking too. Maybe we'll do some water droplets downward, along with some dots. Right here. And then we'll do little dots, and then the big ones coming off the end of the tube. Okay, this is prior to adding any extra stuff on there, just kind of little kind of water droplets following. Go ahead and do the little ones in between. Use all that in. Actually, I like the way that looks. So we got little water drops, some bigger ones, and then we're going to put the bigger water drops on the bottom. Not too big though. Hear it? So totally different sound. A bit lighter right there. I think this one's only going to have 3 on it. I don't need a whole lot. One more water drop. Just a little one here. Again, there we are. So we're just getting all that formed up. Again, this is going to have totally different resonance. Let's go ahead and carbon coat that. So the carbon coating is an old school method for how to anneal glass when you didn't really have a kiln handy. So you would carbon coat this and then put it in a substance called vermiculite. I guess it's a gardening substance. You can see it just totally blackened that off there. Now that's going to keep it nice and warm and prevent it from cracking. We're going to set that down too and do the last one. Oh, I got to do my CAPTCHA. Hold on. TikTok is saying I got to do my CAPTCHA. There we go. I should probably get some water too. Sorry, I need a water break for a second. I needed some water. All right, let's do the last one. Then we're going to build the actual structure. Then we'll do about in between the other 2 sizes there. We'll keep it right in between the last one we did and the bigger one. Okay, so the opening on this, I'll go in between the small one and the big one. We'll keep it about the 3/4 size for the opening. And again, that'll create an entirely different sound. You ever see those little bubbles? I should probably show this to you guys before we go. See that little bubble right there? It's super paper thin. It's already cooled off. Like I could have grabbed it and it wouldn't be hot at all. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get this nice and hot here, and we're going to open it up. And I got to flatten that one out a little bit. It's not looking so good. I don't know where my flattening tool is, so we'll use this one. So that's about the 3/4 size for the hole. Again, it's going to make a whole different sound. Let's add the little water drops on there and finish this tube up, and then we'll start the actual structure. I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other one. I kind of like those water drips coming down. What I don't like about it is it adds a lot of stress onto the glass. Doing it this way, so I got to make sure it's completely blended. Main thing about putting these little dots on too, it's not like you can just stick them on and hope they stay. You actually have to heat the tubing and the rod at the same time, and they have to blend together. If you just stick a dot on there, it will for sure 100% every time crack or fall off. So you absolutely positively have to fuse it in there. Why'd I say it like that? Fuse. Here we go. Oh, this is looking so good too. I like this way. I like the way this looks. So it kind of looks like candle wax dripping down a little bit. So if I did a lot of these, it would look like a candle kind of dripping down. But I want it to look like water. So we got to add the little water drops. But maybe the next one I'll do little floating candles. What movie was that from? The floating candelabra? What movie was that from? Anybody remember? I think it's a Disney movie. A floating candelabra. Candelabra. I can't say that word. Anybody know the movie? I can't remember the name of it. Harry Potter? Yeah, maybe. I thought it was Disney. But it might be Harry Potter. You might be right. Speaking of Harry Potter, guess what we're going to make? this week. We're going to make a golden snitch. Except I'm going to call it a golden stitch. Fantasia. There you go, Groves. That's it. But Harry Potter had it too, and Beauty and the Beast. But that's the look I wanted for the next wind chime. Maybe we'll do it out of a candle look and have it look like floating candles. That'd be kind of cool. All right, let's go ahead and add the little water drops on here on the bottom. Yeah, I got to add a little bobble to the end of this so it looks like a water drop and not a runny nose. And thank you for everybody that answered the question about what that candle, floating candle, looked like. I think you're all right. We're going to go ahead and build the next one. Definitely have to chubby this one up a little. I gotta move this one over a tiny bit too. Too close. And one more. Then we'll build the little mounting for the wind chime. Keep this one rather short. I gotta put one on the other side. Thought I was gonna do 3, but needs one more. Just a little chubby. Okay, so there's our last one with the water drops coming down. We're gonna go ahead and I gotta move that. Why is it always on the last part of these? I always get into a little debate with this thing. There. So let's go ahead and do the carbon buildup here. Again, this is what tempers the glass temporarily until I get it in the kiln. You can see we got the blackened end. I'm not worried about the ends. I just worry about that spot where everything is attached to the middle part of the tubing. So that just kind of makes everything nice and stable. Set that down over here. All right. So now we're going to build the structure for the wind chime. The raw structure. Make sure I got what I need set. Here we go. Get rid of that. And I will use you, I believe. Okay, this is probably going to pop. Didn't pop, it just broke. That's good. We're going to pull this little bad piece of glass off, and then we're going to build the center core of the wind chime. Then I'll build the arms extending out. So right now I'm just going to build the center portion of the wind chime. And that is going to be a cool looking piece. I kind of have it in my head what I want it to look like. All right, let's go ahead and build that now. Pull this little end off too. All right. Nope. There we go. Got the torch on silent mode. So this has to be pretty strong. This is where all the weight is going to be centered. So we don't want any flimsy glass in here. A little bit more. Okay, right there. That's going to be the center of the wind chime right there. And we're going to do it, we're going to make it look kind of cool. We're going to put a little design in here. Going to kind of stair step it up. Got to wait for it to cool off, and then we're going to push this next section into what's called a Maria ring, or a little bit of a ring. And I do that by just heating right at the very top of the torch. It's not all the way in the flame. like that. Kind of, I need to pull this gap down a little bit more. It's not as thin as I want it. There. And we're going to come right above where I did that ring in the other side. We're going to pull it down as well. Kind of like an hourglass shape. Pull that way down this time. Take out any wrinkles. And we're going to come right above it, do the same thing, hourglass it down, and then push that middle in just a little bit. So we're going to hit the flame right there, push it together, and give it a little bit of a kind of like a little donut, semi-donut ring. Middle section, it's just a little not good right there. Push it in a little bit. There. Okay, one, smooth that out just a tiny bit. That's got one tiny wrinkle in there. There we go, all gone. All right, last part here, we're going to take this down, and then we're going to put a hook on it. And then we got to put a hook on the other end where the center portion of the wind chime will get threaded into. like that. Okay, we're going to separate this and we're going to create a little ball. I'm going to use what's called a bail biter. We're going to open up the hole with a bail biter. It's going to be a lot stronger than creating a loop. So this will be how the wind chime is from top to bottom. That top section up there is going to be where the hook is. We'll put a little loop down here, then that'll start, and then we got to build 4 arms coming off of it. Let me grab my bail biter first before we go any further. Did I put those over there? I did. Let me find, I need one specific tool. I got too many tools in here now. Oh my God, how many tools do I have in here? Did I put it up top? Nope. Has to be in here. Well, if I can't find it, we'll do a different method, but I don't want to do that method. One last look. Well, poop. Alright, gonna have to do it the other way. So we're gonna build a manual loop for it, and then I'll pop it on. Because I can't find my bail biter tool. So a bail biter are 2 little prongs that come in and they basically make the hole. And they work really well when I can find them. I know it's sitting right in front of my eyes too. Oh well. Alright, let's go ahead and build a manual loop. I should have a short little... Here we go. So we're going to build this manually then. Shouldn't be a problem. This is the old school method. So I always call this the shepherd's hook. So it's just kind of like a half loop. We're going to go ahead and heat it up. Get the 2 ends to join together. Then we'll use a manual carbon reamer to get it super round. There we go. So you loop it together and then we just have to heat it. We'll use a little pinpoint reamer, get it rounded out. It'll be fine. Just takes a little while longer to do it this way. Okay, we're good there. So the top portion of the loop is completely rounded, solid. And then I'm going to attach a little rod here. We're going to get it all fused in here, nice and solid. And that's going to be the weakest point of the entire project, this particular spot. So it's got to be really, really strong. This has to bear all the weight. So we'll just build a little bit of a little structure right here. And before I go any further, so there it is with the little structure. And then I'm just going to round it out here just to make 1000% sure it's completely fused and pliable. And that is good to go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and grab that part up here and fuse it together. That is pretty rock solid. Now we have to put a loop down here. Actually, I'm going to do that manually as well. I'll do the same thing for the bottom one. We'll go ahead and put that in the kiln. We'll manually build a loop for it and use it on. Let's go ahead and do that now. I wish I could find those bail biters. A little annoying. So this one's going to also be strong. I don't want to use that rod. I'm going to use this. How's everybody doing on this Sunday, by the way? What's going on? Y'all hanging in there? I hope you had a fantastic freaking weekend. We're going to get lots of fire smoke this week, so keep an eye on the page, both the community tab on YouTube and TikTok. I may have to adjust my live streams according to the smoke that's coming through from the Spokane fires. Not quite sure how it's going to affect us here. We're supposed to get a lot of smoke and stuff, so I gotta kind of adjust my string because we're gonna have super hot weather too. And the smoke is going to kind of bury that heat in here. So I may have to go a little bit earlier on the time frames this week. So keep an eye on the pages if you want to continue watching the live stream. By the way, let me get through this. I do have one announcement I want to do. That was way goofy. That loop is goofy. I gotta definitely fix that guy up. You know what? I'm not even gonna try that. That's awful. That's just awful. I'm not even gonna try and correct that. That looks like Fritz made it. Fritz is my dog. Alright, let's go ahead and heat this up. There's our shepherd's hook again. We're going to go ahead and bring that down, use it in. Just going to let gravity do 90% of the work for me again. There we go. That's a better starting point. Much cleaner. The walls of the rod are all even. The last one, it was thick and thin, and I didn't want that. I wanted to keep the tube or the rod exactly the same in thickness. And there wasn't really a way to correct that too much. It's much faster just to start a new one. Alright, so one last little punty here. And we'll fuse that loop on there, and that piece will be ready to go. This is going to be a fun wind chime. So we are making a wind chime. The initial center core of the wind chime, the basic center part of the wind chime, I made out of recycled glass. So items that were broken or unrepairable. And I just basically took it and remelted everything together. And we made that the center core of the wind chime. Okay, we got that on there. Let's go ahead and make sure the loop is really good right here, and then we'll fuse it on. Actually, I don't have to do too much. That's perfect. It's actually really good. So there's our loop. We're going to go ahead and fuse it onto the other piece. I gotta wait for it to cool off. Uh-oh. You know what? I boo-booed. There we go. I just realized symmetrically I didn't have these lined up. One, it was kind of going sideways at a 45. That would have drove me nuts. So now the loop here and here are lined up together. I didn't even realize that till earlier. Okay, I got a little wrinkle here I want to get out. One there and one right below it. Just tiny little stretch marks. I'm a plastic surgeon of glass. Yeah, now they line up. That would have drove me nuts. So that's the center part of the wind chime. We're going to build the arms coming off of this. Or I should say the center part of the, basically the mounting part for the wind chime. So the wind chime will hang here. We're going to have the arms coming off, and then we'll have everything dangling down. All right, that's good. So next step is we're going to park this part way in the kiln, just this portion in. I'm going to actually try and let this cool off a little bit. As I'm making the arms, I want to be able to manually hold it and not have it holding on by this tiny little rod right there. And the reason is that is not strong enough to hold the entire piece. Like that. See how easy that came off? But there's our upside down portion of it. I'm going to bring out the other item, the center core. How do I want to put this down? I'm just going to let that sit for outside for a second. Hopefully it doesn't crack. So that's the center core of the wind chime. I kind of wanted to simulate water drops coming off of it, and as it kind of swings and dings, it's going to go ahead and hit everything. I should leave this sit out now too, because I got to put a loop on here. So we're going to let everything kind of sit out, and I'll come back to it and finish all that up. In between then, we're going to go ahead and start building the arms. And one more time, this is our little dinner belt. I call it the ocean's dinner belt. It's a shark bell. So we got the little hammerhead, or not hammerhead, just regular shark. Man, I can't hold this right. There we go. So there's a little shark bell, and I called it the dinner bell. And it dings really good. That's what gave me the idea to finish up a wind chime. That guy right there. And then this was what we built that center core out of. Scrap glass like this. So just a piece of broken glass that didn't make it, and we just took it and refused it together. Okay, let's build the arms. So these aren't going to be super creative. We're just going to build a couple little rings in it and then put a loop on the end. I did want to show you this right here. So this is how, see that little sliver right there? That's what will cut you every single day. That's called a witch's fingernail. And when you cut the glass, you get those. That's the most dangerous thing that I have on my bench right now. Not the flame, that. All right, so what's going to happen is I'm going to heat sections of this, and we're going to push it together, and it's going to create all these little rings. And we're going to do that 4 times, build 4 arms, and then we'll fuse it to the main piece and finish up the tubes, and this wind chime should be pretty much done. We're just going to come in here and you just gently heat it right on the top of the flame. Push it together. I'm going to build about 2 or 3 of these little rings and I'll show you what it looks like. Just adds a little character to the arms. We're going to build this one over here. So this will be, we are making a full-blown wind chime tonight. The only part of it that won't be glass are the fishing line that I use for the, to actually hold the chimes on. I use fishing line. It's weatherproof and very clear, so it looks good. All right, so I'm going to burn this off over here. This isn't going to be the full length of it. I just have to pre-build 4 of these, and then I can fine-tune it, and then we'll fuse it to the main piece. Set that down. So there's those little rings I put in. Little kind of like mini donuts in the middle of the rod. And the trick to this is you don't put it all the way in the flame. You just use, so if the flame's going this way, you just use the top portion of it and it skims the top of the rod, and that's what creates that those little rings. If you put it all the way in the flame, it will completely melt it all the way in. And that part's bad. Sorry, I needed water. All right, 3 more to go. Let's go ahead and get this done. 3 more to go. We'll make this pretty fast. This won't be long. We're not far off from completing this now. We're not very far off. So there's number 1. The hardest part is waiting for it to cool off before doing the next one. So again, just the very top of the flame. Two. pushing number 3 now. Then we'll come out here and burn it off. This will be where the hook goes for the little tubes that are going to hang off the wind chime. Now, why am I doing it this way? I'll explain. So what I'm trying to do is I want to make sure all these arms line up the same length. So if I do it this way, I can cut it off and keep everything. I can put the hook on and keep all the arms equal distance from each other. If I tried to make everything all at once, it would not work out very well. So I build sections, and then I can come in, cut it exactly where I want it, and then fine tune it. That's why I'm doing it this particular way. And by the way, if you are a member on YouTube, go to the community tab and click on the members only tab I just posted today. There is a discount code for the fieryguy.com in there. It's a generous little discount code. If you're on TikTok and you are a paid member on TikTok as well, send me a message and I will verify your account and send you the code as well. Since I don't know how to add that in on TikTok yet. But if you're a paid member on TikTok, send me a message and I will get you the code once I verify your account. And it's for a percentage off at thefieryguy.com. That code will change every month. So, yeah, it'll be good for 30 days, and then we'll change the code up again. And I can tell you the percentage off is greater than your cost of your membership. Okay. And then we'll burn this off. One more to go. So we just have to take this down. And there's our next section built out right there. I kind of had these in weird, they're random. Actually, it might look good that way. They're not equal distant from each other. I don't know if I want to do that. We'll take a look at it. It might look kind of cool that way. All right, I need one more glass rod. We're going to build the last arm right now. And then I'll start finishing the tubes off. We'll put the hooks on those, and by the time I get to that, the arms will be cooled off, and we'll fuse that together. This one and one more. Going a little cross-eyed from this. I will say there is a point at which when you're working the glass like this, you lose your depth perception a little. So you kind of focused on the flame so much, you kind of do lose your depth perception. You have to kind of reorient yourself. After so many of these pieces, you kind of have to look up, look around, and get your bearings back. Okay, we're going to burn this off. There we go. I'm running out of room. And there's our last arm all set to go. Man, where am I going to put you? Going to have to go up here, I guess. Okay, so we're going to start with the tubing that we did early. So remember I said we had all that carbon on there? So that's the carbon that coated it. We're going to go ahead and just put it in the water. And I hope we got a paper towel or something around. Uh-oh. I got to go grab a paper towel. I got to wipe all this carbon off. So that's the carbon that's on there. We're just going to go ahead and wipe it off. And that protected all the glass from cracking. We're going to go ahead and wipe them all down. Now when these go in the kiln, they would technically, all the carbon would burn off in the kiln. It just kind of burns off. But I don't want to get it all over my fingers all day. But now you can see it went back to pretty much clear. There's a few little speckles in there. Did you crack? No. It's water. Okay. Are you cracked? I don't know. I'll have to look at that. It looks like a hairline crack in there, maybe. Let me get this all wiped off. Clean it all up. You can see all the carbon on the rag. So it's basically like charcoal. It very much acts like a charcoal. And there it's all cleaned off now. So those are the water drips that we're going to be working with. I might also take that and do a pearlescence on it. So I can add a pearlescent coating on it so it kind of has a shimmer. Did I get any carbon on me? So I always get the carbon, then put it on my face, and somehow I don't look very good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take this. We're going to burn off the end and create a hook. Crap, got water in there now. That could be bad. I forgot I got a water bucket. We're going to go ahead and create a little loop on here. And these will be the tubes that hang down for the wind chime. They don't have to be very big. Just has to have enough room for a fishing line. And they don't weigh that much, so they're not super, I'm not worried about it breaking or cracking or falling off. It's just going to be a little solid loop down here. And I need that. So like I said, just a tiny little loop on there. Not much is required. We'll set that off to the side. We'll do all 4 of those. And then work on the arm itself. Oh man, I got a lot of water in here. There, I blew some glass. Can't say I didn't do any glass blowing. Go ahead and create another loop on here. We're almost done. We're 90% done now. I can't angle this the way I want because the water's in the tube. That I didn't think of. Okay, that one's done. So there's the next one. So these tubes will hang in the actual wind chime. 2 more to go. Ooh. Yeah, this tube is bad. I may have to redo. You can see the cracking. I don't know if I can save that. We're going to pop it in the kiln. I'm not real sure I can save that. That's not good. We'll see. I'm not going to let it stop me from making the arms or anything next, but yeah, that's not a good thing. The rest of them look good. I wonder if I could pull this off here. Yeah, that worked. Okay, got that done. Now I'm not sure that last tube is going to live, but I'm not going to try and remake it right now. I want to finish the rest of this off. And no other cracks. So yeah, these are going to hang, and they have different size hole in the bottom, so they're all going to resonate a little differently. So you can, well, it's not going to ding that way, but. All right, so we got those done. We have our main piece. Are you still hot? No. Okay, we're good. So this is the center portion. We're going to put the 4 arms coming off of this, and we're going to cut those down right now. Okay. All right, so we got to mark these. We're going to take it. So what I do is I take a Sharpie and I just mark it where I want it, and then I mark the rest of them accordingly. So we just put a little marker right there, and then I'll mark the rest of them to match up. And that way I know exactly where I need to cut the rest of them. Last one here. Okay. Now we'll just cut them off and put a hook on there, and then we'll fuse them onto the main piece. So I'm going to take my marker. Now I don't make a closed loop on this, I just make a U-hook. So they're easy to put on and off. So there's the hook, and you make it a little bit taller than the rod itself so it doesn't slip off. I'm going to take and push that in just a little, like that. And there's our U-hook where everything can slip on. We're going to go ahead and do that on the rest of these. Pull this down a little. There's U-hook number 2. And we'll finish the other 2 up, and then hopefully it's cool enough I can go ahead and get them fused on there. I haven't done a wind chime in so long. I'm like revitalizing old stuff that I used to make. There's our third hook, and then we have one more to go. So this wind chime is completely functional. That's why the title says fun and functional. Because it is functional, it is all weatherproof. It can take any amount of heat or cold. It won't break. A good amount of wind. Like I said, if you got hurricane force winds, I would say try and bring it in. But for the most part, it should survive just about anything you throw at it. All right, we got all the hooks done. Let's go ahead and build the hook on the end of this. So this is the center clacker that'll hit in between the poles. We're going to go ahead and fuse our hook on there and get that done. Okay. That welded in nice and smooth. Make sure it's round. Now after I get done with everything tonight, it will run in the kiln. I will temper it all in the kiln later, but just so you guys have a visual of it, I'm not going to put it in right now. Okay, it's hanging pretty even. That's what I was looking for. Now, I think this has uranium glass in it. I'm not 1000% sure, but oh yeah, it does. So we did actually end up putting uranium glass in there. I don't see it has any, but yeah, there's a little uranium glass in there. I knew we had some scrap uranium in there. And then this is the color under the light source. You can see it's just got all those greens and blues and browns running through it. Very earth tone. Centric there. All right, let me see if I can fix that one. If I can't, we'll go right into the putting the arms on the actual structure. Let me see if I can fix these cracks. So you can see we definitely got some chunky cracks in there. Yep. think we got it. Huh. Yeah, I think that center crack disappeared now. Now the top one up there, I'll fix that later. That was the one I was really concerned about, where I'd have to remake the whole piece. But this one I could just narrow it down just a tiny bit. But I think I got that out. Double, triple sure. Technically, that shouldn't have happened. That was a pretty deep crack in there. Yeah, it's gone. So that one is gone. We just have that one to deal with, which I will do later. We'll pull that off and make a hook for it. But I'm going to get that in there before the spot where it cracked before happened. Okay, so this is our main item. We're going to go ahead and start assembling the arms on there. I'm going to put gloves on for this because it's going to be a little warm. Oops, wrong glove. Wrong glove. And then tomorrow night we're going to be taking space rocks. So the silicon rocks like this, silicon chips, and we're going to chunk it off and start infusing that into some glass. And if my obsidian gets here in time, we're going to actually be melting obsidian. I'm going to take natural obsidian and we're going to make something out of it. I'm actually going to melt it. So I'm going to show you that you can actually melt obsidian glass. All right, let me preheat this and hopefully it doesn't crack, and then we'll start adding the arms on. Let me get this warmed up a little. So yeah, tomorrow, if I get the obsidian, we're definitely going to melt the obsidian this week. I ordered it. And we'll get the obsidian glass in, natural obsidian, and we're going to melt it. I don't know what I'm going to make out of it, but we're going to make something out of it. I'm going to melt it and see what the hell we can do with it. But we'll actually melt lava rock. Okay, I actually think this is looking good. Okay, we got it heated to the core pretty good. Let's go ahead and start fusing on the... Now, me being dyslexic, I have to remember the hooks go up. I can't tell you how many times I've done this and put the hooks on backwards. Got arm number 1 on. I just did it. I just put it on backwards. Holy crap. I told you. See? I just did it. I put it on backwards. Unbelievable. Alright, that's going to change the structure of this a little. It's going to change it up a little. So now I have to readjust all these arms. And they were too long anyway. We're going to take them way down. I know how much to tear off. I just did it. Remember I told you I put it on backwards? I just did it. Can't believe I said that and did it. Now I gotta clean that up. Dyslexia is a pain in the ass. It's beneficial, but it's a pain in the ass. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay, and I have to tear this one off now. I'm going to have to readjust all of them. Lengthwise. This is not going to be fun to ship either. Okay. All right, let's make sure I put this one on the correct way. Just have to make sure that's welded in good. Okay, so far so good. Oop, got a little wrinkle. Okay, one more to go. Okay, let's face the hook the right way. Now I try and angle these up just a hair so the arms are kind of facing up just a slight few degrees. This one I want to fix just a little bit. And there you can see we got all the arms built on there. So now the wind chimes will hang on there. I did leave a little room here in case I wanted to hang crystals in between it, so we could do fishing line with crystals in there. But there's our initial part of the wind chime. I'm gonna let that sit just like that, cool off. Should be good to go. And then the little chimes will be hanging down here. And they should be able to bang against that middle section pretty good. Where did I put the middle? Oh, it's way over here. And then this is the middle section where it will hang down like that. And then we'll have the tubes coming off the side. I think we'll take some crystals coming off of it. I think it might look kind of cool. I have these little crystal balls. I just don't know how far down to bring this or how far up. Probably right about there. I think it'll look good. I'm pretty happy with the design. Not disappointed in that. So, yeah. I think it's going to look good. It's a wind chime. So it will completely ding and bing in the wind. So glass has a very unique sound. This is our dinner bell. So we made this a couple nights ago. It's a shark. I don't know why I keep holding it that way. So it's a shark bell. And I'm going to bring it over to the microphone and kind of, you can hear it has a very unique sound. But with the tubes, it should ding a little bit louder and a little bit more, should have a little throatier sound to it. At least I think it will. So, all right, what'd you guys think? Wind chime? I think it's kind of a cool idea. I haven't done it in a while. It's a big piece. I don't even know if I want to ship that thing. It's huge. It's a big ass piece. It would need a big box. Anyway, this is the time at which I will take questions. If you guys have any questions, fire away, and we'll see if we can answer any questions for you. And we'll go from there. So if you have questions, fire away. I am available for questioning right now. Let's see if I can do this too. Oh, wow. Okay. If you're a member on YouTube, stay on for a little bit. I want to try something. So if you're a member, if you could stay on for just a little bit. Did I make the base for the shark? Yeah. You mean this one? Or you mean that down there? No, I did not make that. That's acrylic. Yeah. But did I make the bell? Yes. Yeah, no, that's acrylic. That would be too hard to do out of glass. Like that. Oh, thank you, Robbie. So yeah, this is designed to be able to come out of the base for shipping. So it comes out. This, I frosted this today. I'll bring it over. So we did the wave, and I did the wave in a frosty color. So I sandblasted it. So we got the diver and the shark on there. And I wanted it to look very, I needed to separate the clear from the wave, like the actual items. So I frosted the wave with a sandblaster, and then it looks really good. I like it. Ever had an accident? Oh yeah, I've had accidents. How long did it take to learn? I'm a little different. So my mother taught me. She started when I was 2. So I've been around it my whole life. And even though I didn't like get on a torch till I was like 8, somewhere 7 or 8. If you've ever been around someone and watched them work in a field for a long time, you kind of know how patterns happen. So having watched my mom all those years, I kind of knew what to do and what not to do way ahead of time. No, I've never had a really bad accident. The worst thing I ever did is I took that knuckle right there, that finger, and I sliced that down to the bone twice. So I had a piece of glass break, and it just slid right across my knuckle, opened it all up down to the bone. And I did that twice. I actually cut exactly the same spot twice. And yeah, I can show the sword soon. Not tonight. I got to pull them off the wall, but yeah, I can bring them out tomorrow or something. The way you make the holder for the rods, could you make a space station? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. Is it a good career to get into? Yes, absolutely. Well, I really think AI will take over a lot of stuff. At least this physical portion of it, until they figure out 3D printing with molten glass. I think glass blowing is going to be viable for a while. I should bring out my mom's torch and do a small job on hers. It's a lot of work to switch torches. It's a lot of work to switch torches. Yeah. But yeah, that's the worst accident I've ever had, is I've sliced that knuckle down to the bone twice. I lost feeling in the tip of the finger for like 6 months. So I didn't have any feeling in the front part of this finger for like 6 months each time I sliced it. That was the worst part. But oddly enough, when I cut it, they stitched it and then they put this glue on there, and the glue held everything together. I literally went to work the next day. I sliced it, they stitched it, they put the glue on there, and I literally went to work the very next day. I've done a lot of complex pieces. I don't have one in particular that stands out for me. I just don't have a complete picture of what stands out. So, as what's like super complicated. Now, I'll show you one of the most complicated pieces. Let me see. I think I have it handy. Maybe not. Do I have it here? Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I got so much stuff in here. Ah, yeah. Hold on. I have to get this bag that fell. So I'll show you one of the most complicated pieces to date, and it's not going to look it to you, but for me it's one of the most complicated to figure out. I'm going to try and put it in Dragonfly's marble holder here so I can get it over to you guys. Actually, I have my tweezers here. These will hold it a little better. So this is one of the most complicated pieces to date. Right there. If you can see how that little tulip loop in there. Now that's only a 1.25 inch marble, like 1 inch to 1.25 inches. Put it right there. If you can see that little center stamen running right through the middle. So yeah, that is a complicated piece right there. 2 reasons. 1, that pattern that's in there is pretty weird. And 2, doing it so small was a pain in the butt. I can't... Teddy bear bell, yes, I thought you meant Tinkerbell. I can't do a Tinkerbell, but I can do a teddy bear. This is another one. This one's just slightly larger. But there, you can see that little twisty mushroom style pattern in there. Now these are complicated because they're so small. That's what makes them difficult. So that's the part that made it very, very difficult, is they're very small. Just because it's small doesn't mean it's easy. In fact, it's twice as hard sometimes to make it small. All right. All right. If you are on YouTube right now, hang out for a second. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to switch to members chat. I want to see if it works. So we're going to switch to a members chat on YouTube and see if it works. Not available for portrait. Okay, they haven't implemented it yet. So it's not available yet. Can I make thorns of a rose? You mean a rose with thorns? I have one behind me. Good night, Groves. Yes, I can definitely do thorns on a rose, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Let me move this off to the side. I got so much stuff up here. Anyway, all right, I'm going to call it a night. I appreciate all you guys, moderators. Thank you so much for hanging out and always keeping everything good. I'm done. Yeah, I am done, Groves. Thank you. So you guys have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with me. Don't forget to hit subscribe. I can't speak tonight. Subscribe and follow. And members have really good benefits coming in. So if you are at all interested, I would appreciate having members. I'm not going to be a TikTok beggar, but members are going to have some really cool benefits. You already do. So I will see you all later and have a good night.